What's going on, YouTube? So the Kia lineup has long been known for offering big value for a small price.
And for 2025, the Seltos is getting even better, with more standard features and updated packaging this year.
So, in a huge segment of over 17 different offerings, is this Seltos still one of the best? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, so let's start things out under the hood. There continues to be two different engine choices you can get. Most trims will come with the standard 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 146 horsepower. This engine is paired to a continuously variable transmission. You have available all-wheel drive, and the combined fuel economy for this all-wheel drive model is 29 mpg.
Now, of course, we can't wait to take the Seltos out for a spin and show you what it's like behind the wheel. While we're on that drive, we'll also be getting things like our signature sound level reading, as well as after that discussing resale and reliability.
But first, you know what we gotta do? We gotta close up the hood so we can get into those 2025 updates. So starting out up here in the front, this was just refreshed last year. So they updated some of the overall design elements to make it in line with some of the other Kia products, including having the lighting that has a different design across the grille itself. This is a tiger nose grille. Obviously, there are a few different variations you can get depending on which trim level you choose. Now, let's take a look at the headlights. So what you will notice is that we actually have a halogen headlight on board with this model. This is what's going to be included on all but the very top SX model. When you choose the SX, that's going to substitute out full LEDs to top and bottom, as well as your fog lights. But in terms of the rest of the trim levels, those are going to be incandescent halogen headlights. So something to keep in mind, since a lot of the competition has moved on to the full LED lighting. Now moving on to the wheels, you continue to have selections between 17 and 18-inch alloys. New to the S trim for 2025 is a updated 17-inch alloy option. Here on our EX trim level, as you can see, we've got this nice looking contrast design. You got a little bit of matte black plastic around the wheel arches to give it a tougher look. And then in terms of our features up here at the top, you are going to find with our mirrors, blind spot monitoring and heating standard on the S trim and above. Now as you move around to the back, you'll continue to see the updated exterior look that was changed last year.
Yeah, and I think it's a really handsome looking SUV overall. Now, as far as some of the design elements, let's break those down. We have a spoiler, exposed rear wiper, and we're also going to have these full-length taillights. That was updated for 2024 to give you this new design. And as you can see, they are actually LED. That's something we do in all of our Car Confections reviews, is see if all the taillight elements are LED. We have an LED brake light portion, incandescent turn signal, and then your reverse light is also going to be incandescent. Now, you do have to choose at least the S trim level to get the LED componentry. Now, as we drop down to the lower area, this is going to be finished in a gloss black, as well as a nice silver accent to give you that sporty look. Now here at the side of the Seltos, we have an overall vehicle length of about 173 inches long, which is a little bit shorter than some of the competition. And as far as some design elements, I want to point this out. Of course, we have roof rails up top, which gives you a nicer overall look. And if you really want a spicy design, you can actually get a black and white roof option on a couple of the trim levels. The S, the X-Line, and the SX can get that option. Now, as far as your safety systems, that's something that's important to buyers in this segment. You're going to get 3 out of 4 of them as standard equipment. You will have to opt for the top-end SX, though, if you want adaptive cruise with highway drive assist. But guys, that's going to wrap up the exterior. There are some updates that we need to talk about, so let's dive into that. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, now let's continue on to the interior. Here's our Kia key fob. It's their typical smart entry key fob on the S trim level and above. You can see we also have remote start built into the fob itself. And digital key is available as well if you want that option. Now to get inside, there's no sensor behind the door handle, so just press that black button there, and that will unlock the door. Now, taking a look at the interior, just like with the exterior, Kia did some mild updates last year to the overall design and technology. Before we get into what's new this year, let's talk about our seats. So you can see here on our EX trim, we have a leatherette seat. This is what you get on both EX and the top-end SX model. You have a few different colors you can choose from, and you can even choose a cool green color option on that SX model. Leatherette feels pretty realistic overall, and we also have the power adjusting seat on those same models with two-way lumbar support. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Getting inside and closing up the door here, let's look at the rest of the cabin materials. Now over here on our armrests, we've got a leatherette trim with a stitching detail. It is also leatherette through this entire center section. You have a piano black accent through the middle, and it is hard touch along the top. As you go to the upper dash, this is all going to be finished in hard touch plastic. It's pretty much what we expect for this segment, but we do have a leatherette padding all through this center section. You have a little handle here, which kind of reminds you that this is from the same brand as the Telluride. But let's go ahead and fire it up with our push button start. And now that's all fired up, let's dig into some individual details. So taking a look first of all at our gauge cluster, starting last year we got the dual 10.25-inch displays on your top trim levels. So that does continue this year. As you can see, when you change things like your drive mode, it will adjust the entire design. The lower models come with the 4.2-inch multifunction display in the middle section. Now, taking a look back here at the steering wheel, it is leather wrapped on all but the base trim level. Power or manual tilt and telescoping is of course included. Rain sensing wipers are not available by the way. Turn over here and take a look at our interior storage. This is a subcompact crossover, so you don't expect to find a ton, but Kia does give you a good size center console here. You'll notice that we've got stuffed donuts inside because here at Car Confections, we like to test the volume by putting stuffed donuts inside because it is our emblem. And in this case, we have 8 donuts inside today. Pretty good performance again for a subcompact. In front of that, you've got a couple different cup holders right through there. You also have a double-tiered storage area, so down on the bottom section with a couple USB connections, and then you've got a top shelf kind of hidden up there. This is where your wireless phone charging pad will be contained. Now taking a look at our shifter, just a traditional style, pull back for drive, bump over here to the left if you want to go through some simulated gear changes. There's no paddle shifters on the non-turbo trims. As we head into reverse, you'll notice we've got a pretty decent looking backup camera. Resolution is quite nice. We have active trajectory, and then we've got an update for 2025. That's the fact that the EX and the SX now come with back parking sensors. So you can see that visualization going on right there. That's a pretty nice feature for this price point for sure. Just be aware that the top end SX model does not get a 360 camera like the related Hyundai Kona has. You also have the manual parking brake unless you get the fully loaded SX model. Now around the shifter area, you'll notice that we've got our control here for our heated seat. This is included on the X line and above as standard equipment. Also a pretty rare feature for this segment is that you have ventilated seats as an option. As we continue on from there, you come to a quite premium looking panel of buttons. The lower buttons here are for your audio system. You have a 6-speaker standard sound system on all the trims except the fully loaded model, which comes with an 8-speaker Bose sound system. Let's go ahead and hear that 6-speaker sound system. Overall sound quality is quite good for this segment. Really, even this standard system does fill up the cabin nicely with a decent amount of bass. Also really like the shape of the speaker grills. They're very unique. And there is one additional thing I want to mention. You have this feature called Sound Mood Lamp, where you can actually go through here and make the car respond with the ambient lights to the overall volume of the music with these different themes here, including party and romance. Now, going back down here to our climate panel, single zone automatic climate is what's included on all but the base model, which comes with a manual climate setup. Very simple to adjust right through there. Of course, you do have the automatic function as well, and I already talked about the heated and ventilated seats. Moving above, we have a 10.25-inch display. This is included on all but the base trim level, which has an 8-inch display. In terms of the features that you get on board, this is not the CCNC system, but it does still have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Just be aware that you need to connect it with a USB. It's not a wireless connection for any of the models. On the ones with 10.25-inch displays, you will get a built-in navigation system. Rising above here, manual dimming mirrors, what's included on all but the top model, which gets an auto dimming one. And then we also have a sunroof up at the top. This is an available feature on your EX and SX grades.
And before we get into the rear seat, I do want to point out that that moonroof option is new for 2025 on this trim level. Now, let's talk about the rear seats, because that is one of the best aspects about this Kia Seltos is how much space you're going to have back here. We're sitting at 38 inches of legroom, 38 inches of headroom. So that makes this one of the largest offerings in the entire segment. I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to Drew, who is 5'8", and we're looking at a good amount of space. As you can see, it's probably, I'd say about 7 inches or so. Unfortunately, I don't have my ruler. Drew took it out of the bag over the weekend. It's not my fault, so we don't have that with us today. But my feet can easily slide up underneath of the seat, and the seats themselves I do find to be quite comfortable. Now, as far as recline, they do actually recline a decent distance as well. And then while we're talking about the seats, I want to point out that we do have a nice fold-down armrest with 2 cup holders inside. That's honestly pretty rare for this segment to have that feature. And also rare to have in this segment is vents. And those are actually going to be standard on all but the very base model. So S and above will get rear vents, and they're also going to get USB ports down here to keep everyone's device charged up. You have a little storage cubby beside that. And then if you turn over to the door trim, you're going to find a nicely done one. It is going to be hard touch on the upper part, so keep that in mind. But we have piano black through the middle, leatherette on the armrest portion, and we have a decent amount of bottle storage, although when it comes to the Stanley water bottle, it does not fit in the door, so you will have to put it here in the center armrest. And now let's walk up to the tailgate. Now, you're going to see that we actually have a power tailgate. That's rare to have in this segment, and new for 2025, it's included on EX all-wheel drive, so this trim level right here and above. So that's definitely nice to see that added to more trim levels this year. As far as the space is concerned back here, we're sitting at about 27 cubic feet of space behind the second row of seats. If I reach up here and easily fold those seats down, we're going to have a maximum of around 63 cubic feet. Now, if you know how big the competition is, you'll know that that's actually a very good figure for a subcompact. That's actually very similar to a lot of compact SUVs in overall cargo space. So one of the biggest options that you can get in the entire segment. Now, one of the things we do in all of our Car Confections reviews is get cargo length, width, and height figures in case you're looking to haul something specifically. And from behind Drew's 5'8" driving position, we're looking at 67 inches of cargo length. From behind the second row, about 35 inches. Cargo opening is sitting at 41 inches, and then overall cargo height is, let me move that just a little bit. We are sitting at about 29 inches tall. So really good figures for a subcompact. Also, I'm happy to see that you do keep a spare tire. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2025 Kia Seltos. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a few different things, as you can see on the screen right now. But first, we want to go ahead and start with a hard acceleration before we get things like our sound level reading.
All right, there's 60 miles per hour. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the spec dump, we've got the standard powertrain. This is what most people will end up with when you choose a Seltos. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine, naturally aspirated, with 146 horsepower. Overall, Obviously, it's not going to be like extremely fast or anything, but this is pretty standard issue for the segment. Most of the time when you're shopping in this class of vehicle, you are going to have about this much power from either a really small turbo engine or in this case a little bit larger naturally aspirated engine.
Yeah, it's not bad. Overall torque is going to be coming in at 132 pound-feet, so not a terrible figure on that front either, but it's definitely not going to be like, super powerful. Now, the good news is that if you do want something more powerful, Kia does have you covered. You can get the turbo engine on the X line as well as the SX model. That's a 1.6-liter turbo four-cylinder, 195 horsepower and 195 pound-feet of torque. So, very significant power boost if you choose that turbo engine option. We have also driven that before in the past, and it definitely elevates your overall drive experience, makes it feel a little bit more like a class above. But the standard engine that most people will choose, I think, is perfectly fine.
Yeah, definitely. There's also a difference when it comes to the transmission, so we might as well get into that between the two different powertrain options. This comes with a continuously variable transmission, which Kia refers to as intelligent variable transmission, but it is a continuously variable transmission. You may not have actually noticed that upon that acceleration that it was a CVT because it does have shift simulation. It's a very good shift simulation. You don't have to go full throttle or anything like that for it to go through the simulation like some of the rivals. And it really cuts down on, having that droning sound like you get in, say, a Honda HR-V. Now, if you get that turbocharged engine, that instead will get you an 8-speed automatic transmission, which is different from what you had the first few model years of a dual-clutch transmission.
Now, also one thing to discuss is the fact that you are going to have all-wheel drive as standard equipment on this Seltos on every single trim level besides for the S and the EX version. So that's pretty nice that even on the base LX model you'll have standard all-wheel drive, and that's something that's pretty rare in this segment, all things considered, besides for like the Subaru Crosstrek. And that also means when it comes to fuel economy, you're going to have pretty good figures. You're sitting at 29 mpg for the version that most people will get, which is the all-wheel drive 2-liter model. If you choose front-wheel drive, through the S or the EX trim level, that can go up to 31 mpg. And then the all-wheel drive version of the turbo model, that's going to get you 26 mpg combined.
While we're still on this country road here, I do want to mention the handling briefly. Kind of went around that corner there to show that it is a pretty agile feeling vehicle. I like that the steering is nice and responsive. Obviously it is going to be lightweight because it's not a sporty SUV per se, but it does have a nice agility, probably more so than a lot of the competition.
Alright, and we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour so we can get our sound level reading. I'm going to go ahead and put it on fan speed 1. Actually, that's not the fan speed button, that is the music button. Hold up, there we go. Really good. 56.5 decibels is what we're sitting at in this 2025 Kia Seltos. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition, though. We can go to carconfections.com/sound level readings, and on our website we posted all of the vehicles this competes with, which certainly is a lot. We mentioned that at the beginning. There are 17 different rivals in the segment, so you'll want to make sure you see how quiet it is compared to those. And Kia will continue to be the reigning champ in this segment because they actually do have several options. The Kia Soul you can also buy in the subcompact segment. That's actually the quietest vehicle that we've tested. Certainly that's good to see that you're not going to have a super loud cabin. That's some areas where the rivals will kind of cheap out on this segment, is getting a little bit louder of a cabin. So I'm happy to see that you're going to have a overall a pretty premium experience when it comes to how much noise is coming in. Also, an area that I'm pretty impressed with is ride quality. The Seltos has always had good ride quality. That continues for 2025. When you hit a bump, it does a good job of soaking it up. The seats I find to be quite comfortable. Really no complaints.
Yeah, it does feel like a very solid vehicle. Again, you know, this segment, you can see cost cuts in certain areas. Some of the vehicles can feel like kind of hollow and stuff, but this one doesn't suffer from that. That was the auto start stop system operating right there. It is a good and smooth system that has fast response. You can turn it off if it bothers you.
Let's get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, our favorite and least favorite element. Drew, why don't you kick us off with the Slam Dunk?
Well, Slam Dunk simply got to be the fact that even though this is already one of the best values in the segment in terms of just the features that you get for the money, especially on the affordable trim levels, Kia keeps adding to this overall formula. We've pointed out several new things that they added, even to the EX trim level specifically, like we've been testing out today.
Yeah, on the Airball side of things, what we're going to say is some elements are starting to show their age just a little bit, and what I mean by that is mainly those headlights up in the front. I think it's a very questionable decision on Kia's part to keep those halogen headlights on even a pretty expensive, Seltos like this. This is the, second from highest trim level, and you still have those really cheap halogen headlights that are not bright. So certainly at this point, I feel like that's honestly a safety issue. I really wish Kia would update that and give you LED lighting as standard equipment on every version. And lastly, in regard to your warranty, you have a 5-year 60,000 mile basic warranty and a 10-year 100,000 mile powertrain warranty. Kia does not do complimentary maintenance. Now, in an inflation-filled world, I'm happy to tell you that the Seltos' price doesn't change much this year. We start at under $25,000 at $24,590 for the LX model. As you move up the rung, you go to about $31,000 for the SX as a starting point. As you can see today, we have the 25 Seltos EX all-wheel drive. $28,290 is our base price. When you add the sunroof as well as some floor mats, $13,755 destination. We're sitting at $30,655, which I think that's a pretty good value for what you're getting here. Now, if you're looking to buy a Kia Seltos or any new vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. Now, the reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, a link is provided in our video description, and we also have a pinned comment at the top of this video. But buying a car is about more than just the original MSRP, so let's dive into resale and reliability. So let's start off with resale value. As an economics graduate myself, Drew and I took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Kia Seltos potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 20.1%. Now, it's worth noting that is a pretty good resale value by percentage. That's actually right at industry average. However, it is going to be less than some of the Japanese rivals, such as Toyota, Honda, and Subaru, so keep that in mind.
Now, I've also done the same for reliability by developing the Combined Reliability Index. This takes into account several studies from trustworthy sources on reliability and combines them in a way that gives you a more holistic picture. In this regard, Kia is rated above the industry average for all vehicle makes.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values or reliability data, as well as our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. And guys, that's going to be it for our in-depth review of the 2025 Kia Seltos. If you enjoyed watching this video or found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which is part of the reason why we made this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel. I promise you won't want to miss out, and we also do a lot of really cool cars that you won't want to miss either. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.